is the number one priority for me on the borders. Cash in transit, secondly, and the third one, we must start looking at the tenders. That's how we're going to stop this cartel. If you don't do that, you close the borders, they have cash in transit highs. You close that, they still run tenders because they're controlling some of the procurements that are happening.
According to Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, there are 3 ways that are enabling the cartel, and that also are the things that will stop the cartel. He said it's the government tenders, the border control, as well as the cash in transit heists. Those are the biggest 3 things that are enabling the cartel, according to Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. The very things that are done by Sergeant Nkosi. Was this a way of Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi trying to oust people like Sergeant Nkosi of the things that they are doing to society, like being found with dockets of cash in transit? In this video, let us talk about the bail application of Sergeant Nkosi.
Second one in my list of priorities is cash in transit heist. And I wish government can come up with a policy once and for all that's going to regulate the movements of money in the country. That is going to regulate the cash, the utilization of cash in our country. The lesser we use cash, the better. We have suggested some typical examples that if the money is in the bag, that bag is taken from the shop to the car, when the money is in the car and this car is driving from point A to point B, there must be mandatory, at least, devices that are put into that vehicle so that there will be a robber. The moment he interferes with that truck, with that money is destroyed, cannot be used. A lot of things been tried. Ink is put into the paper. They take this paper with the ink, they get chemicals, they dump this money in a bucket overnight. The following day, that chemical is gone. They take the money and go and gamble with it. So if you can't use the money gets destroyed. There won't be need for you to even bomb the car. And explosives is a dangerous thing. So these criminals, they use it recklessly. And they're part of these drug dealers, this cartel, because it's easy money. So they blast these cars with the inside job, because they don't blast an empty car. People within, they will tell them this car has got so much money. Either the companies themselves or the clients where they pick up the money from. They will tell you, we've put so much money into this car, as it moves, get it. And they're going to get it on the road. And that increases the risk to society. It makes our country look like we're at war zone because there's bombing everywhere on this cash in transit.
On April 2, 2026, a quiet street in Pretoria North became the scene of a forensic earthquake. Who was the target? It was Sergeant Fannie Nkosi, a veteran of the Gauteng Organised Crime Unit and a star witness at the Madlanga Commission. Just days after he sat in the witness box, the police came for him.
Possession of a ballistic report of a cash in transit robbery that happened in Limpopo. So all these are under investigation to ascertain, because you all know that, you're all aware that he is a detective. It's nothing strange if he's in possession of dockets, but it should be dockets that he is assigned to, that he is mandated to investigate. But given that he is on suspension, then he shouldn't be in possession of any SAPS property. He was supposed to have handed in all these dockets. So that is quite a red flag as to why he would be in possession of SAPS property, which includes those dockets.
Cash under the mattress, firearm hidden in children's bedroom, and most importantly, 6 police dockets that were supposed to be locked in state archives. The state revealed that 5 original dockets and 1 copy related to cash in transit robberies in Roodepoort and Messina were found in Nkosi's Wendy house.
The applicant was given an opportunity to return all state property during the notice of his suspension from the South African Police Service, and yet he opted to retain some of the state property. Therefore, his conduct amounts to defeating the ends of justice. Docket copies found in the Wendy house. Roodepoort case, 26 of 6, 2022, cash in transit. On 1 June 2022 at about 10:30, an employee of G4S Security was collecting money at Westgate Mall when he was approached by two suspects who pointed him with a firearm and took his company pistol and cash valued at 620,000. The firearm of his crew member was also taken. No further investigation was conducted. 2022, a forensic science laboratory report from images analysis subsection regarding the enhancement of CCTV footage of the cash in transit crime scene which occurred at Messina, showing the suspects and vehicles used by the suspects during the commission of the offense. The applicant was given the opportunity to return all state property during the notice of a suspension from the South African Police Service, and yet he opted to retain some of the state property. Therefore, his conduct amounts to defeating the ends of justice.
The argument is that these cases were marked undetected on the police system. The state alleges that Nkosi stole these files to frustrate the justice system, ensuring that the criminal syndicate, allegedly the Big Five, would never be prosecuted.
And he used his office's superiority to attain the possession of the docket. It must be noted that the normal practice is that the possession docket must have been married or consolidated with the robbery or cash transit docket. Furthermore, both matters must have been investigated by one unit, not separately, as it happened of the applicant's instance.
A 9mm revolver was allegedly found under the bed of a 9-year-old son. This isn't just a legal breach. The state argues that it shows the total disregard for human life and safety, proving Nkosi's unfit to be in society.
Public safety concerns within the household. During the search of the applicant's residence, a loaded .38 special revolver was discovered hidden under the mattress in his bedroom, on top of which his 8-year-old son was sleeping.
One thing about this bail is that we heard that firearms were everywhere in the house. There was no part of the house where you could not even find a firearm. We then found that this person had 52,000 rands in cash under his mattress, which that amount of money makes him a flight risk.
8 October 2025, police members from KwaZulu-Natal attached to the Serious and Violent Crime Unit recovered an amount of 385,070 rands in cash, which was found inside a safe, and it was confiscated. On 2 April 2026, I executed the search and seizure operation at the applicant's residence. An additional 52,700 in cash was discovered hidden under the mattress and inside the drawer in the applicant's bedroom.
Even though he says that he earns 16,000 rands, but what a lot of money that was just found for someone who earns 16,000 rands. This whole thing, it deeply links to senior police brass and underworld figure like Matlala. The state argues that Nkosi has the resources to disappear or intimidate witnesses.
The applicant has shielded serious criminals who are involved in violent crimes like cash in transit, robbery, and with aggravating circumstances, instead of bringing them to court to account for the alleged wrongdoing. It will be a serious miscarriage of justice to afford bail to this applicant.
Nkosi's legal team, led by advocate Nhlanhla, represented a completely different narrative. They argue that Fannie isn't just a criminal, but a targeted victim.
Charges against me have been fabricated and made in order to frustrate me and place me in hardship as far as the issues pertaining to the internal disciplinary hearing against me and what has transpired in Madlanga Commission. And I dispute that the police who came to my house found a stun grenade, and this charge is fabricated against me. I contend that the state and the prosecution will not be able to prove this charge against me. The state's prosecution case is non-existent and weak against me.
They argue that Nkosi has made a desperate plea not to be sent to the Vusimuzi general cells. Their defense is that he claims that because of his testimony at the Madlanga Commission, he is a dead man walking. He fears being poisoned in prison by the very cartel-linked officials he exposed at the Madlanga Commission. Nkosi argues that he was part of the specialized CIT task team and that keeping files at his home was a common about informal practice due to the lack of safety at the police station. He claims that the dockets went stolen. They were part of the active investigative work. For me, this is very heavily questionable. Because this man, it was said that there was even fingerprints that he had of someone who was committing CIT's robberies in his house. He had CCTV footages of crimes that were really, really significant that they had to crack. In a way, he was obstructing justice and contravening the Firearms Control Act in terms of those firearms that he took. And what is worse is that he had a hand grenade. He had a hand grenade with him. And from the state's case is that he stole that grenade because there's no record that says that this person was given a hand grenade.
Statement that the applicant was never issued with a stun grenade and SAPS leg irons.
These are all the things that show that this man is dangerous. If he can steal a hand grenade, he can steal a docket, he can steal his own docket, he can obstruct justice in terms of this particular case. He also knows the people that can testify against it. The state argues that he might intimidate the witnesses and that there's no exceptional circumstances that exist that should permit Nkosi to get this bail. And with him having the CIT cases, from what we heard from Lieutenant General Nhlanhla, clearly he's enabling the cartel. That's what he's doing. The question remains, will he get the bail? You cannot understand this bail application without understanding the Madlanga Commission. Nkosi spent 8 days on the stand exposing alleged kickbacks between the Big Five cartel and SAPS management. One of the biggest questions that people have asked is this arrest a legitimate crackdown on a corrupt cop, or it is a retaliation raid designed to silence witness, F known as Fannie Nkosi? The state says that the raid was based on a tip-off about suspicious activities after his suspension. The timing is either perfect nor suspicious. Magistrate Thandi Teledi has postponed the final bail up ruling to the 20th of April 2026. For now, Sergeant Nkosi remains in the general cell of Hoshimampuru, the very place he claims will be his grave. That's the thing. The funny part is that even the state didn't oppose that, but still the court deemed it fit for him to go to the general cell where he can be with other prisoners and he will get protection from there. If Nkosi stays behind bars, what happens to the Madlanga Commission? If he is released, does justice for CIT victims disappear with those dockets? Will he continue enabling the cartel? Those are some of the questions that we will forever have.
Would that be consistent with a pair of gloves, some t-shirts, and a helmet shield?
That's correct.
How?
Because if I was the one who was having them, that's why I know those are gloves, t-shirt, and a shield.
But there's... I suppose we'll just have to draw our own conclusions.
Even the state has argued that this man is known for shielding serious crimes. He's known for that, especially from the testimony at the Madlanga Commission. Before I can end this video, I wanted us to quickly talk about his legal representative, Mr. Ngwato. Mr. Ngwato has been one of the people that I can say at the center of these raids that have been happening in Nkosi's house. The last appearance of Sergeant Nkosi at the Madlanga Commission, Advocate Chiscaston spoke about something that is very important, especially in relations to the raid that took place. And in that particular raid, a lot of money was found, an amount of 380,000 rands was found in his house.
So why does your brother's affidavit speak of a purchase price of 380,000?
Manje kungani i-affidavit kabhuti wakho ikhuluma ngokuthi bathengiselana ngo-380,000 rand?
Kukhona nalapho ethi ubaba uNgwato ubhadale i-380 outstanding ye-20,000 khona kula.
There is where he stated that Mr. Ngwato paid the amount of 380 and there is a balance of about 20,000 rand.
But that's not what he says in his affidavit. If you go to page 7,
Kodwa akusiyo lokho akushoyo ku affidavit yakhe.
The way he explained that cash being found in his house, he said that it belonged to his brother. The money was found in a safe. And he said that it belongs to his brother because there was a sale agreement drafted between Hartley Ngwato as well as his brother. But that's the thing. This agreement was very questionable because 20,000 rands was still outstanding from their real agreement or the original agreement, which is the sale agreement. And the cash that was found was 380,000 rands. If this was a solid sale agreement, it could have stated that there was that extra 20,000 rands. So this 100,000 rands, which was in the original sale agreement that Mr. Ngwato and the brother had, does not corroborate with the 380,000 rand that was found, which they substantiated and said no, that 380 indeed was the sale of the truck, but there was an outstanding 20,000 rands. But that was not disclosed in the sale agreement, of which when you have a sale agreement, all the details are disclosed, especially since we are dealing with a legal practitioner, because we are not dealing with two laymen. We're dealing with someone who's a legal practitioner, and there's certain clauses that are there in those sale agreements. And if someone was to pay later, that clause was going to be included. That is why the commissioners even thought that this is some kind of like a cover-up, because it doesn't make sense that all of this happened in this way that was described. It looks like Ngwato assisted with the cover-up because of the lack of the detail and that 20,000 discrepancy that was found during that time.
I'm going to use stronger language than the one used by Advocate Chaskalson, that it appears to me that this is a contrived transaction put together to hide something even bigger than what we are looking at. Do you want to comment on that? And I think maybe to be fair to you, the interpreter must, I can't think of a simpler word than contrived. It's made up. It's a fictitious transaction. Do you want to comment? That it appears to me that this is a made up sale transaction. It doesn't look like a real sale transaction to me.
No,
I'm not stating it as a fact, to be fair to you, just so that we are clear. I'm putting a proposition to you, which you have the right to either dispute or to confirm.
No, I dispute what the commissioner is saying.
And what is worse is that there is no proof that Ngwato actually did get that truck immediately or what. And that's the thing. This was just to cover up this raid that happened, which found that 380,000 rands in Nkosi's house. Now we found this very raid that happened which found 52,000 rands in Mr. Nkosi's house. Ngwato again is seen at the scene, together with the wife of Nkosi.
During the execution of the search and seizure, the applicant's legal representative, Mr. Ngwato, arrived accompanied by the applicant's wife, and he was afforded the opportunity to consult.
All of this gets to see or make you see the cover up again, because they're saying that he was there to consult Ngwato. It doesn't look good for a legal practitioner to always be involved in these particular raids. Always when the raids are happening in Nkosi's house, his name somehow comes in, and it always does not come in a good light. I don't know what you guys think about the bail application. Do you think that he will be granted bail or not? For me, it's not easy to say. This is a woman who Judge Teledi once gave Bushiri bail, and Bushiri left the country and never came back. So she erred in her judgment. So I wouldn't be shocked if she does that error again and says that justice permits, because he just contravened the Firearms Protection Act, of which firearms were just all over. Others were in a safe, others were just in wardrobes under the bed, in cupboards. They were just everywhere. So he contravened the Firearms Control Act. As to whether he used them, it's if they do the ballistic reports and they can confirm that these firearms were used somewhere else. South Africa has a serious CIT problem. and we see one of the sergeant in the middle of this particular situation and some legal representatives trying to protect him by all means necessary. I don't know what you guys think about these relations. Let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear what you think. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you in my next upload. Bye.